Hi guys, you know what time it is? It's Tech with Linda. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's class, we'll exploring security groups, how to make your applications visible on the web browser and stuff like that. So let's jump right in. So the first thing I'll do is to come to my EC2 instance, and this is what I have. I have 4 instances here, and I currently have one running. There's a difference. I have 4 instances, just like when you have 4 laptops, right? But out of that 4 laptops, only one laptop is turned on. That's what this means. And also, I'll be clicking on the instance that is running right now, but there's something I want you to take note of, which is very, very important. And it's something that can actually get you really confused as a newbie. Whenever you stop your instance, because whenever you're done with learning, it's always advisable to turn off your instance if you're not making use of it, just so you don't exhaust your AWS credit. If I want to stop this instance, I can just select this instance over here and come to the instance state and stop instance. So this stop instance means like when you're done with your laptop, I can just turn it off, right? Then I have terminate instance. That's, I don't want this instance anymore. I want to delete the resource. It will no longer be available on AWS. If I want to use the physical machine, I'll say probably you want to sell your laptop or you want to destroy it, something like that. So, but if you want to just shut it down, you can just use stop instance. And for reboot instance, it's probably when you want to restart, when you have your laptop and you just want to restart everything. That's what reboot instance stands for. So, and whenever you stop your instance and you try to start it again, it has a new IP address. And if you're trying to connect using Bash, using a terminal like Bash, it's going to be a challenge because the IP address will change. And if you try to connect using the previous IP address, it will not connect because it does not know how to resolve that IP address. So when you stop your instance and you start it again, try to go and copy the new IP address and use it to log in, or if you're trying to view it on the web browser, or you're trying to do anything with the IP address. So let's just continue. I'm going to be going into my instance right now, and you can see the instance state is running. And currently, there is nothing on my laptop. I've not installed anything. I've not done anything to the laptop. I want to install Nginx, and Nginx, it's a web server basically. So let's do that, and we can go ahead and view our instance on a web browser. So what I'll do is click on connect. When I do that, I have my SSH client, and I'll just copy this. Remember my last class, I told you when you're connecting through SSH, try to go into the section of your laptop where you have your key pair. So I'll come here and just this right here. I've already logged into my EC2 instance. So the next thing I want to do is just set up my laptop basically. So the first thing I want to do is to use this command sudo apt update. This is the first command I'll be running. When this is done, we'll be running the next command. Please take note, I'm using sudo apt update because this is an Ubuntu machine. If it's another operating system, we'll have to use another command. But for this class, we are using Ubuntu. So let's just go ahead. So the next command, it has finished running. So I have it has released my terminal. So I want to run sudo apt install. Okay. So this is the second command, and it has released my terminal again. And the next command I want to run is sudo apt install Nginx. I want to install Nginx on this virtual machine. So yeah, it's asking me, do you want to continue? Yes, I want to. Then the next command I want to run is sudo systemctl start Nginx. And I'll follow that up with another command, sudo systemctl enable Nginx. Good. So I want to also check if my Nginx is running correctly. So I will do sudo systemctl status Nginx. So this is just trying to show me the status of my Nginx, and currently it's running. Once I'm done with this, I can go over to my instance and try to get the public IP address. So you can see it here, public IP address. So I'll copy this and go to my web browser and try to view this on the internet. So you can see, welcome to Nginx. My virtual machine is now available on my web browser. If you remember, in the previous class, we used the default security group that AWS provisioned for us. So let's try to explore that security group and see what's in it. So I'll come over to security over here and click on the security group. We have inbound rules and we have outbound rules. The inbound rules are a set of permissions that allow traffic to enter into our virtual machine. Now I have my virtual machine with IP address and security group. So the security group is the set of rules that allows external traffic to enter into my virtual machine. So now on the web browser, we saw that our web browser is able to connect to our virtual machine, right? Also, our terminal, Bash, is able to connect to our virtual machine using SSH, right? And our web browser is able to connect using HTTP protocol, HTTPS. So look at these inbound rules. So let me click on edit inbound rule. We have HTTP, and we are saying that whenever an HTTP traffic is coming into our virtual machine, allow it. So at this 0.0.0/0 is saying that it's allowing traffic from anywhere. I don't care where the traffic is coming from. Just put it to my send it to my VM. Let it allow. It is actually not best practice in any level, because anybody can have access to your virtual machine, right? So it is always advisable that you kind of know the specific sources you want traffic to come into your VM form, and you add those rules. So here we have HTTP, which is traffic from the internet. So anywhere from the internet can connect your phone anywhere. And we have SSH. SSH is from your terminal, from Bash. If you remember, the command we ran to sort of enter into our VM was SSH I into exactly. So that's what this SSH is for. Allow SSH to from anywhere. So any Bash terminal PowerShell can have access to our virtual machine, and also HTTPS. So I can also come here and maybe I delete this rule. You realize that I cannot SSH anymore. Let's explore that. So let me just come here and delete this rule, the SSH rule, and I save changes. Once I go back to my terminal, which is Bash, and I try to SSH just like I've been doing previously. Okay, so let me just go back and click on the connect and try to connect again. And I try to connect again, just like I've been connecting using SSH, and I go back to my Bash. You can see automatically it has disconnected because it noticed that there's been changes on my virtual machine. So let me try to connect again through SSH. Remember, I deleted the rule that allowed SSH into my virtual machine. So once I push enter, watch what happens. It will not allow me because that rule has been disabled, that we don't want SSH to connect to that virtual machine. So that's just we playing around security groups. You can play around it. Something else I want you to take away from this is try to allow only your phone IP address. Try to get your phone IP address and tell your virtual machine to only connect to your phone IP address. And you see that any other way you try to connect your VM would not work because it will only recognize your phone. The same way, try to allow every other thing and maybe one particular laptop's IP. And that's how you play around it and you actually get a hang of security groups, which is a very, very important aspect in cloud computing, because you would not want to be in that situation or that position where you mistakenly expose your credentials or your virtual machine or anything on the cloud. It's a disaster, I assure you. Try to block some things, try to allow some things. So now that's for inbound rules, right? Let's try to explore outbound rules, because we have just one outbound rule. Let's click on that and see what we have. Okay, so in the outbound rule, so this virtual machine is just very, very exposed. Like, that's why it's not advisable you use the pre-configured rules that AWS gives you. Try to customize your thing. Try to make your stuff as private as you can. So this outbound rule is saying that allow all traffic from anywhere. I told you this 0.0.0.0/0 means any traffic from anywhere, allow it into your virtual machine. If you ask me what outbound rule does, so now I told you previously that inbound rule is you allowing stuff from anywhere to have access to your virtual machine. Now, outbound rule is saying that you are allowing stuff from your virtual machine to go anywhere. An example of anywhere, if I have a database that I want my virtual machine to always connect to, I can edit this outbound rule to only allow traffic from that database. So when I click on the type, I can scroll down and I have several resources I can allow my virtual machines to connect to. So if I want to connect to probably a Postgres database or an SQL database, I can just click on that, and you can see that there's a custom port is where I will put the IP address of my database. So if I created a database from AWS, I can come here and put the IP address of that database. Also, in subsequent videos, we'll be exploring what this means in detail. It's called CIDR blocks. This is where I can put the IP address of my database and I add it. And my virtual machine would only connect to the rules I place here. This is where we'll be stopping this video for today. And I hope to see you in the next class. Thank you.
So guys, thank you for joining me on this one. Like, share, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.